Breaking news from London, a scene no one in modern Britain ever imagined. For the first time in decades, King Charles III has directly confronted Prime Minister Keir Starmer, triggering what insiders call a constitutional earthquake. What began as a private disagreement behind palace doors has now turned into a full-blown national crisis, dividing Parliament, uniting the public behind the crown, and shaking the foundations of British democracy. So, what exactly happened inside Buckingham Palace, and how did it bring the Prime Minister to the edge of political collapse? Let's break it down. It started quietly, during what was supposed to be a routine weekly briefing between the King and the Prime Minister. According to multiple senior sources, the atmosphere turned tense the moment Starmer walked into the room. On the table lay a single folder, marked Confidential Constitutional Conduct. Inside was a transcript of Starmer's own words from a recent public statement, the same comments that sparked outrage across Britain when he said, "The monarchy serves Parliament, not the other way around." Witnesses say the King, normally composed, looked directly at the Prime Minister and said something that froze the room. "You have forgotten that respect sustains this nation. Power without respect is not leadership, it is arrogance." Those in the room described an almost cinematic silence. For the first time in modern history, a reigning monarch had openly rebuked a sitting Prime Minister face to face. Within an hour, whispers from the palace corridors began spreading. Reporters outside Buckingham Palace sensed something seismic had occurred, and then at 3 p.m., the palace released a short but devastating statement. His Majesty believes that all branches of government must act with respect toward the institutions that bind this nation together. It never mentioned Starmer by name, but everyone in Britain knew exactly who it referred to. By evening, every front page carried the story. King Charles delivers silent blow, monarch breaks tradition, warns of political arrogance. Social media erupted. Hashtags like "You respect the crown" and Starmer humiliated dominated the global trends. Polls showed support for the monarchy surging to its highest level in 20 years, while Starmer's approval rating plunged overnight. Inside Parliament, Labour MPs were in chaos. Some urged the Prime Minister to issue an apology to the King to protect what little credibility remained. Others accused the palace of overstepping its role, but even those voices sounded uncertain. Veteran members said they hadn't seen a standoff like this since the abdication crisis of 1936. One senior Labour figure reportedly told colleagues, "If the King moves against us, the people will follow him, not Starmer." Across the nation, something extraordinary unfolded. Crowds began gathering outside Parliament and Buckingham Palace. Union Jacks waved in the wind as people chanted, "Defend the Crown." By midnight, spontaneous demonstrations had erupted in Manchester, Liverpool, and Glasgow. What began as politics had turned into emotion, a defense of tradition, identity, and loyalty. Meanwhile, inside Number 10, panic was spreading. The next morning, reports surfaced that the King had refused his weekly audience with the Prime Minister, a move so rare that historians called it an unmistakable message of lost confidence. Determined to regain control, Starmer appeared before cameras to address the nation, but his words only deepened the crisis. He declared, "The government answers to Parliament, not to inherited privilege." Instead of sounding strong, he appeared defiant, dismissive of the very institution that symbolized British unity. The backlash was instant. Constitutional scholars called it a self-inflicted wound. The Guardian described it as the speech that may end a career. Even Labour supporters began turning away, saying the Prime Minister was fighting his own ego, not for democracy. Late that afternoon, another bombshell dropped. Leaked documents from inside Downing Street showed that Starmer's advisors had been drafting proposals to limit the King's role in ministerial appointments and constitutional briefings. On paper, it looked like modernization. To the public, it looked like a coup against the crown. The reaction was explosive. Opposition leader Kemi Badenoch called it the most dangerous assault on our monarchy in living memory. Nigel Farage went further, accusing the government of trying to rewrite the very idea of Britain. By nightfall, thousands had gathered outside Buckingham Palace under the November sky. They sang the national anthem and carried signs reading, "The Crown comes first." Police struggled to control the swelling crowds. Within 24 hours, 10 government officials, including cabinet ministers, had resigned in protest, saying they could not serve a government that undermines the dignity of the monarchy. Labour's Internal group chats overflowed with talk of an emergency leadership challenge. The name Angela Rayner appeared again and again, and through it all, King Charles remained calm. He continued his daily schedule, visiting charities, meeting veterans, and opening community centers. Each quiet appearance made him look stronger and the Prime Minister weaker. Around the world, the story dominated headlines. In Australia and Canada, news anchors praised the King's restraint. The King, who said nothing and won everything, read one international headline. Even the White House weighed in, calling the British monarchy an enduring institution of stability in democratic times. Starmer's global image collapsed. Allies, who once admired him, now saw a leader at war with his own heritage. By week's end, Labour's approval rating had dropped below 25%, its lowest in modern history. Meanwhile, Reform UK surged in the polls, riding a wave of patriotic sentiment. Nigel Farage summed it up bluntly on live television. This week, the Prime Minister tried to humble the monarchy. Instead, the monarchy humbled him. And so, Britain stands at a turning point. A Prime Minister who challenged tradition now faces political ruin. A monarch once thought cautious has emerged as the quiet defender of national unity. In one breathtaking week, the balance between Parliament and the Crown has been redrawn not through violence or decree, but through dignity, silence, and moral authority. As King Charles waved to cheering crowds outside a cathedral, and Keir Starmer sat behind drawn curtains in Number 10, Britain saw its past and future collide in real time. The message from the people was unmistakable. Respect the Crown. Protect the nation. History, it seems, has already chosen its side.